Welcome to our channel, ladies and gentlemen. I want to thank you for your continued support to our channel, and I hope that this video finds you well wherever you are. Ladies and gentlemen, by the time UDA government is done with this country, UDA or Kenya Kwanza will go down in the annals of history as the worst government, because the things we hear about this government are untold. You would not even believe whether the people at the helm of power have got any iota of humanity. They want to destroy our country. A few months ago, the president signed a presidential order that removed the strict vetting during the issuance of IDs to the people of the Somali community, especially those that are coming from Somali into our country, leave alone the ones that we have coexisted with for over years. We have the Somali members of the Somali community who are considered to be Kenyans. Now, this elicited a lot of reaction because many people thought that those who advised the president did not mean well to our country, especially as far as the security of the nation is concerned. George Natembea is one person who is very relevant and synonymous with the security of the country, having worked as a county commissioner, even in the Rift Valley when things were very volatile. He has worked in Mount Kenya, that was in Central when Mungiki Mendes was at its worst. And George Natembea, when everyone was clapping for William Ruto, others were talking in undertones. They didn't want to face the president and tell him, Mr. President, you can do better. This issue of removing the strict vetting is going to prove to be a very fatal decision to the country. Everyone was quiet. But George Natembea slammed the president. He told the president, Mr. President, this is not one of your best decisions that you've made.
Wale watu ambao wamekamata machifu wetu sasa watapewa vitambulisho ya Kenya freely. Watapewa. Sasa wakitoka pale wakienda kuteka nyara watu wengine wakikamatwa watakuwa wamebeba ID nani? Ya Kenya. Watakuwa wanasema wa Kenya wamekuwa watu kuteka nyara watu. These things ziko na serious security implications. Sio kitu ya kufanya kiholela namna hii. Itafika mahali hawa watu watakuja kwa wingi, hata MCA atachaguliwa, hata MP atachaguliwa, hata governor atachaguliwa, hata msukuchua president atachaguliwa na atakuwa mgeni, atakuwa Mkenya. Wengine wataingia kwa jeshi, wataingia kwa polisi. Itafika mahali escort commander wa president mwenyewe atakuwa mgeni, hatakuwa Mkenya. Saa hizi mataifa inaangalia mipaka. Ukienda Amerika, taifa kubwa linazuia watu kuingia kwenye taifa lake, wanazuia. Itakuwaje a small undeveloped primitive country inafungura mpaka namna hii ili watu wakuje bila wanataka? Tutakuwa na nchi wapi?
Now, the members of the praise and worship team did not take this kindly, because these are people who believe that Mr. President is always the Alpha and Omega. Whatever he says cannot be questioned. They do not want to interrogate whether the decisions that have been made by the president are made in the best interest of Kenyans or for personal gains and fortunes. So they really slammed George Natembea. But ladies and gentlemen, it is now coming out. I got this clip and I was like, am I dreaming? Is it true that the government is now importing some members from the Somali country and they are promoting them into being the chiefs and DOs? And once they do that, those who have been promoted and elevated to the position of chiefs are given the mandate of now issuing national identification cards. And one of the very leaders who spoke is a senior member of the UD administrative clique. And he was saying that if we are not careful, we are sitting on a time bomb. And I now understand why William Ruto deliberately appointed Murkomen as the new CS in the Ministry of Interior, because all this is happening under his ministry. I want us to listen to this confession because it is going to be very painful to any concerned Kenyan citizen. Before we watch, allow me to request you to like and share this video because it goes a long way in promoting the video. Don't forget to subscribe and click the notification bell. And once again, thank you for your continued support. Kindly take a look and tell me what you make out of this confession.
Tatizo la vitambulisho, hawa hawana shida ya Wakenya kupewa vitambulisho. Hawana shida. Na tunampongeza rais kwa kusema Mkenya asidhulumike. Hiyo sawa. Lakini hapa Tana River hii kuna mtiririko, sio peke yake ya Wasomali kutoka Wajia na Garissa ambao wanakuja kutugonganisha hapa, lakini kuna mtiririko wa Somali kutoka Somalia. Mheshimiwa, nielewe hapa. Unasikia wanapiga makofi. Mtiririko wa Somali kutoka Somalia. Na ajabu ni kwamba wakifika Tana River hii, sijaiona mahali pengine, wanatumia ujanja gani hatujui. Wanapewa location hapo hapo. Inakatwa location ya watu wa Tana River, inapewa location mtu ya Somalia. Alafu muda mfupi anapewa chief. Huyo chief ndio wewe unamwamrisha, unamwambia aharakishe mambo ya ID. Huyo sasa mwenye anatoka Somalia, wewe sasa unamwamrisha. Hujui ya kwamba hapa kuna machifu wa Somalia wako. Huyo sasa ndio anaenda sasa kupanga mipango ya kuandikisha watu wengine wa Somalia. Ndio shida ya hawa wananchi, na huo ndio msukosuko uko Tana River hii. Msukosuko wa ardhi ni hiyo. Msukosuko wa usalama ni hiyo. Na haisemi hapa. Maombi yangu, na tulikuwa tumeomba sote kama viongozi, zile location zote ambazo ziko kwa faili ya huyu, tulisema zifutiliwe mbali hizo location. Hao machifu bandia wafutiliwe mbali. Vitambulisho feki walivyopewa ichunguzwe, vifutiliwe mbali. Na wao wapeleke kwa refugee camp. Wapeleke kwa refugee camp. Tunaelewa Somalia iko na msukosuko. Ni ndugu zetu wale watu wa Somalia. Hatutaki sisi wapate shida. Laiti mimi ningekuwa na uwezo ya kwenda kuweka amani kule ningeiweka. Lakini tunajua wewe unajaribu, mawaziri wetu wamejaribu.
Now ladies and gentlemen, you will agree with me that is very unfortunate and very sad. I want us to draw a few conclusions because I started by telling you that this UDA government is going to destroy our country and it must not be any closer to power after 2020, as we head to 2027. Now, what am I concluding? Number one, the government of the day is looking for votes. The government understands too well because it consumes the NIS report, the intelligence report, and the government and the administration understands that it has lost touch with the common mwananchi. The government can no longer tell us about hustlers. The government can no longer tell us about the bottom-up economic model. The government can no longer pretend that it loves the church or that it will form a government of the hustlers, of the mamambogas and the watu wa boda boda. So what the government is trying to do is import foreign voters to vote for them come 2027. And they are doing this at the expense of the grievances and concerns of Kenyans. And it is very unfortunate because once you've been elected and you're in office, you only need to go back to your manifesto, look at what you promised Kenyans, implement them, discuss with them, tell them, these are the challenges and the hurdles that I see on the way. I promised you this, but after 2.5 years, this is what I have managed to achieve. And Kenyans will always see whether you're making progress. We are not buffoons. We understand What is happening? So the government of the day is looking for votes by importing foreigners, and it is very unfortunate. Without knowing it, and I don't know whether this is deliberate or they are subconscious about what is happening, we are creating a conflict. Soon, when there will be a change of regime, you will realize that other tribes will confront the members of the Somali community, especially those who are from the Somaliland. We know that at some point, William Ruto opened a free border space. But ladies and gentlemen, soon there will be some conflict. Let me draw your attention to a story in the Bible. We are told that when Joseph was sold by his brothers, he went and one thing led to the other, and Joseph was elevated to the position of a prime minister. He was only second to the king or the president at that moment. And you all know what happened, that sometimes there was, after some years, there was a lot of drought and hunger in the whole continent or around Egypt. And his brothers came looking for some cereals. And that is how Joseph brought his family to Egypt. And the numbers started swelling and they grew. When the king who had elevated Joseph died and another king was installed, the NIS at that moment and the deep state looked at the Israelites the way they were growing in number, and they said, these people will become a disaster. And that is how the Egyptians started persecuting the Israelites. And you know the story of the Exodus and the Red Sea and all that. I'm giving you this story because we have always coexisted well, a cordial relationship between the members of the Somali community and the other tribes. And they have a right to be in the country. But when you start importing other people into the country, then you know you are building a conflict. You are creating a foundation for conflict. And William Ruto, either deliberately or subconsciously, is doing this, which is very bad. William Ruto has placed himself as one person who is concerned about the peace in the neighborhood. He wants appointed Raila to go and look at what is happening in South Sudan. In North Sudan, he's been there. But then, he's not practicing this in the country. It is very bad. Number 3, I am almost concluding very safely that William Ruto does not care about what will happen after he exits power. All he's concerned about is how he can acquire and stay in power, period. It doesn't matter what we think. It doesn't matter the repercussion and the result. All that he cares, together with his people, is that he is in power. They are acquiring wealth. And, it's very bad because I thought people get to power because they want to offer good leadership to the countrymen. And so this is very bad because he does not care. Whoever will come after him will deal with that mess. And I can assure you that this is happening in our economy, in all the sectors of the government. If we have a government that does not care, they simply want to create a mess so that whoever will come after them will deal with it. And when all this is happening, it is the common man that is suffering. Even in matters economy, the gap between the rich and the poor is widening. Some people are getting richer by the day. Others are growing poorer. And I want to conclude by telling you that we need to ensure that we kick out the UDA government. It must not stay any closer to power as we head to 2027. We have a destiny. And we have that destiny in our hands. Ladies and gentlemen, we must ensure that we vote wisely. I sometimes have a problem with the people who voted for William Ruto, and now they are telling us Kasongo must go. Yet we knew very well that Kasongo must have not been even given any space closer to power. Uhuru Kenyatta, who had worked with William Ruto, had warned them. But they voted William Ruto overwhelmingly. Now Kasongo must go. I agree Kasongo must go. But do you know, it is better to be very vigilant before you do something than now reacting after the mess has been created. And I don't know what you think, but this story about the Somali is something that must be looked at.